MAGA Square Garden. I didn't write that. The New York Post did, but I'm stealing it because it's freaking awesome. Of course, we're going to talk about that rally. Fresh off Trump's Joe Rogan appearance. That was another thing. But really, the overall theme, what we're talking about this morning, honest to God, fear. Not new fear or even old fear. The fear is gone, and there are signs of it everywhere, and it's an amazing thing. Regardless of what happens in 8 days, people aren't afraid anymore. And that toothpaste isn't going back in the tube, and that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. We'll also wrap it up today with, I love this story. There's a new way to send off your dearly departed into the great beyond. You shoot them up in the sky with fireworks. I know it's not for everybody. It's a little dark, but I love this story. I think it's fantastic. And hey, it's spooky season, so it fits right in. With all that said, hope you had an awesome, wicked awesome weekend. Welcome back to Wicked Radio. Thanks for finding me. Thanks for finding the audio podcast, too. My name is Bill Adams. Find it, share it, wherever you get them, download, whatever it is. And this always lives on a post on X and YouTube after we're done here. But with that said, let's get to the stuff. Madison Square Garden. Trump has always wanted this. It was pretty much exactly, and almost all of the things except one new announcement is pretty much everything you would expect. But hold on a second now. How can you have, the media told me that this was a Nazi rally. What? How could that be? I mean, how could that actually, how could you do it? How could you pull that off? Because 85 years ago, MSNBC says, there was a Hitler Youth Nazi rally in the same building. So this must be the same thing, right? Well, hold on a second. How could this be a Nazi rally when you have this going on outside? Join me in listening to Orthodox Jews celebrating Trump.
Trump did nothing wrong. He's a good guy. He supports the Jewish community. He supports Israel. Not like the other side, all talk, but they do not do the walk. It's about time we get law, order, peace, stability in this country, and we bring the world to a safer place. Trump 2024.
Orthodox Jews. Yeah, let's see. I think in the late 30s Nazi rally they had at Madison Square Garden in New York. I'm pretty sure they didn't have Orthodox Jews celebrating outside. Or how about this? Did you catch this? Because I counted 3. I wasn't there, but watching on TV like you may have been, counted 3 Israeli flags inside there. And there were also other contingent of Jewish folks, Jewish Americans inside as well. Yeah, I don't think they would have been at a Nazi rally. Just more lies, more hate, trying to make you fearful, more of that crap happening. But once again, nobody buys it. But they still tried. The most irresponsible, disgusting act I've ever seen in media happened while this was going on. I didn't see it live, but it's gone viral. It's gone everywhere. MSNBC. Couldn't bring myself to watch that except when, I have to get some clips. How about this? They call it the lower third in TV and in media. It's the Chiron thing. So it's the lower third of the screen, and the Chiron is what they flash, sometimes scroll, sometimes flash. It's whatever they write on there for the graphic of whatever imagery they're showing, right? Well, here's what MSNBC, during the coverage of the Madison Square Garden rally for Trump, this is actually what they wrote, and they went to a B-roll footage of this thing. Quoting the Chiron of MSNBC, Trump's MSG rally comes 85 years after pro-Nazi rally at famed arena. And of course, they went into the B-roll of that because, it was the modern era still. There's file footage of it happening. There's so much wrong with this, on the surface. It's just a disgusting thing to do, the fear-mongering from that network and the Democrats we'll get to here in a second. But also, how about just factually wrong, right? Let's just stick to the facts. First of all, it's not even the same freaking building. It's been rebuilt and slightly moved. It's not the same building, okay? Still Madison Square Garden. I totally get that. Also, how come the media, how come the Democrats didn't call it a Nazi rally at the same area when, here are some people who have spoken there. John F. Kennedy spoke there. Bill Clinton spoke there. Hell, the Democrats had their national convention in that building before. Jimmy Carter spoke there. But those weren't Nazi rallies. But all of a sudden, when Trump is there, that's what they call it. But here's the great thing. I don't think anybody is buying this anymore. They've just, it's like the old saying, you can cry wolf too much. Well, you can cry Hitler too much because they've just gone overboard. They're really that desperate. And it's a great thing to see. Not what they're doing. The great thing to see is people are calling them out on all their bullshit. And people aren't having it anymore. Another fascinating thing. We'll get to a little bit of what Trump was saying at the actual rally. But to me, what was fascinating, what was happening outside. A gathering of all different kinds of people. There were a couple of people there apparently in full burqas to see Trump. That was interesting. The Orthodox Jews. There were Puerto Rican. There were Latinas for Trump. There were regular Trump people who came in from out of town. There were New Yorkers who never got a chance to see the guy. But then this, and I saw this pop up, must have been 3 to 5 times. I kept on seeing reports, like real credible ones, of the amount of people that were outside. Now, we're putting the attendees at 20,000 inside Madison Square Garden. It's a big arena. Plus, when you fill up the floor, it's big. It's a lot of people inside, right? He's had bigger rallies outside, obviously, that will hold more, but this is an inside arena. I kept on seeing reports of, they're reporting close to 100,000 people outside in and around Madison Square Garden of people who were just in the area who couldn't get in. I'm thinking, Manhattan is packed. I totally get that. What do you mean 100,000? That can't be right. And then I kept on seeing it again and again and again. Where's that coming from? Well, listen to this. The GPS tracking of this is what they can actually do now, which actually shows you that we're all being tracked, but whatever. A total of 98,678 mobile devices were at or in the immediate vicinity of Trump's Madison Square Garden rally. Okay. Just under 20,000 in the venue itself. The ballots were outside watching because they have the big screens out there and just hanging around and being part of it. 47% of those, because again, this is a little scary, but they track the phones and they track them to see if they were ever at another Trump rally. 47% of them had never attended a Trump rally. There really were 100,000 people around this thing to see what was going on inside and outside and to be part of it, just out of curiosity. That's another thing you wouldn't have seen before. You wouldn't have had, I'd even put it at, all right, let's just call it for the 2020 election, right? I know COVID was going on and all that other stuff. You wouldn't have a lot of people in that city caught dead being in and around there or being seen there, being afraid of what they'd say at work or what their social groups would say, or afraid of them getting a picture caught online. You wouldn't have that before. You have it now. Why? I'm telling you, the fear is gone. All right, more on that in a second. Inside, Trump actually had a great line. A lot of it was what you expect, a lot of the rallies, if you've ever been to any or you watched a few, it's a lot of the same themes, It's kind of like, it's a rally. It's kind of like a cheerleading kind of thing. I like when he announces new policies, and I thought this was a really good one. This was excellent.
I'm announcing a new policy today that I will support a tax credit for family caregivers who take care of a parent or a loved one. It's about time that they were recognized.
That's good.
Right? They add so much to our country and are never spoken of, ever, but they're going to be spoken of now. Thank you all very much.
Yeah, I like that. I like when he announces something there when you're going to get a lot of attention for it, too. So, I mean, think of it. Think of the things that were announced at different rallies before. No tax on tips at that giant Vegas rally that one time. He's teased the idea of no tax on Social Security. I don't know if the plan is complete on that, but that was, again, announced at a rally. And now helping out caregivers. And they really are the forgotten part of society. They really are. And if you've ever been in that position, you know how important that is. I think it's fantastic to announce stuff like that. Positive vibes. Everything was good. A little bit of controversy with that comedian, but that's, all they're grabbing onto. But this whole line about this being a Nazi rally, that's even falling apart now because, again, nobody buys the bullshit anymore. And it's the most wonderful thing to ever happen. In the meantime, let's see how it's going on the other side.
The opportunity we have before us to turn the page on the fear.
Not going well. That was Kamala being protested again, which is happening a lot. You don't see a lot of this stuff covered, but the pro-Palestinian protesters, they're there a lot. That guy was there for something different. She also spoke at a church in Philadelphia. And yeah, you guessed it. She had a completely different accent again. Yeah, that's par for the course. We're used to that now. Got heckled in a church. Yeah, and they're playing the organ music over her, and it's not going well. She's falling apart. It's not good. How about this too? Did you see this when she was in Michigan in the early part of the weekend? So Big Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Michigan, was there with her to try to become her campaign surrogate and to help her push her over the edge in Michigan, which may work. They take a photo op. Gretchen Whitmer and Kamala Harris at a bar, like pretending to be like the everyday kind of person, having a beer after work. It played so badly. Now, we've already, very credible, by the way, and I'm on the record as saying it too, both in radio world and on here. I fully, and I will always stand by this till the day I die, that I think she has a serious drinking problem. I'm convinced of it. You'll never knock me off that belief. I'm not the only one. If you had that as a candidate, would you set her up at a bar, throwing down a beer or a glass of wine or anything? Like what? Sometimes I see this stuff and I think, maybe they want her to lose. Maybe that's they're either that clueless or they're just playing the game for 2028 because that's just so stunningly stupid. But again, the other side of this may be they just think that their electorate is really that dumb. They've dumbed people down for so long, so badly, that they can pull anything off. I mean, God, they ran a cadaver. That Joe Biden was a dementia patient. They got that guy elected, supposedly. And there he was. So that worked. So maybe they can get her done. I don't know. But it's not looking good. The panic has set in. You know that. You want to talk about fear? I think that shifted to the other team. Because when you bring out first Barry and then Michelle Obama, that's right, Big Mike, you know the panic has set in. But what she said to me was amazing. I don't know what the strategy is here. I don't know. Maybe they just don't understand not just their electorate. It's something more than that. Maybe they just don't understand men. I hate to say it, but there's something so bizarre. And I've seen Democratic strategists on TV. Every once in a while you hear these talking suits and they just, we're shocked by the amount of young men and also men in the African American and Latino community who aren't supporting Kamala Harris. What about this shocks you? What are you talking about? Why does this shock you? You've tried to effeminize men. You've pushed the trans agenda again and again and again. The toxic masculinity thing. You've tried to tell regular dudes that they're bad people for now years. This is going on like 10 years. And you don't understand why men aren't supporting your candidate or are leaving your party in droves? Like, what about this don't you understand? Oh, well, let's triple down then. Let's bring out Michelle Obama, Big Mike, and disparage the men in their community. Let's see how that goes.
The women and children you love and tell them that you supported this assault on our safety? And to the women listening, we have every right to demand that the men in our lives do better by us.
Wow. Let me get this straight. You're losing men in droves of all demographics, right? It started first with young Caucasian men, and then you lost black men and Latino men. So you're losing them, right? So you quadruple down and you browbeat them into trying to guilt them into voting to serve your cause. I'm telling you, there's such a misunderstanding, and I think it's probably because it's who's in charge of the Democrat Party now. Effeminate men and radical women. I mean, that's what it is. That's why they don't understand men, because I can tell you something about men. I can tell you something about dudes, just us, okay? And I'm just a middle-aged dad in the suburbs. That's really what I am, a middle-aged white dude dad. We can't stand being told what to do. Like, we'll try to get along and what it'll do. And I would venture to guess that it's probably the exact same thing in the African-American community with men. So for her to get there and to browbeat men into voting the way that they want, yeah, I think however this turns out, and she may win. I don't know how this is going to go. But again, the fear is gone and the pushback is real. No matter how this election turns out, I think you got men and I think you got people in general who aren't afraid anymore and are tired of bullies and being pushed around. And let me tell you something. Michelle Obama is a bully. These celebrities are bullies. These politicians are bullies. And people have had it with being told what to think. I'm just stunned that you'd get up there to campaign. That's your main campaign thing, is to try to bully the men in your lives into voting a certain way. That's unreal. But it's okay. Get that out of your mind. Get that out right now. Doesn't matter. Because there's great things happening. And I said it there. I have no idea. I don't know how this is going to turn out next week or the days after, however long it takes to count all these votes. However many days after, because it's doubtful it's going to happen day of election day. I don't know. I don't know what I do know has changed for real. And this is never going back. We're never getting pushed around again. The people got hold of the information. And I think no matter how long it takes, the people are taking control of the power again. And it's a beautiful, this is an amazing time to be alive. You realize that, right? This is an incredible time. And those signs we talked about of the fear being gone, they are everywhere. Got a couple I wrote down just from this weekend, okay? And there's signs all over the place. You can look where people aren't afraid anymore. Yeah, the Madison Square Garden rally. You got, according to that, close to 100,000 people in and around that area. MAGA hats on, flags, whatever. They don't care. They're not afraid of what their workplace or friends or parents or whatever says. That fear is gone. Let's go to the World Series Game 2 in Dodger Stadium in Chavez Ravine, right? I don't know if you caught this. There were a few of them, but most notably, there was a young-ish, look to me, she was right on TV, right behind home plate for almost all of the game. Youngish female, I think Latina, I don't know, it's tough to tell on TV, and I'm just judging by that. Right square center, proud as hell, wearing a Trump hat, a MAGA hat. Bright red hat, right on television. You didn't see that even 9 months ago. You didn't see it. The fear's gone. People just don't, it's your name calling, it's played out. Calling everybody, calling Trump Hitler, it's played out. People don't care. The fear is gone, and this is where real positive change happens. You want another sign the fear is gone? Check this out. Again, this is kind of like, on the celebrity side of things, but that's okay. They never would have done this before. Last night, Sunday Night Football, okay, at post-game interview on NBC, 49ers defensive end Nick Bosa kind of photobombs the post-game interview thing as the reporter is there talking. And he shows up and this happens.
What was said during halftime? Hey, all right, Nick Bosa with a message there.
You know what the message was? He showed up with his MAGA hat like this in the camera. Didn't say anything, but he showed up like this and he wore it. And he also wore it to the post-game press conference. Again, what's that mean? Fear is gone. Now, he might have spoken out before, but to show up on camera in the post-game with a MAGA hat on, people don't care anymore. The fear is gone. Also in corporate America. I was waiting for this. I love this. I love that this is happening. First of all, I love the backlash and the tears and the coping that's happening because of this. But also, and they're slow to respond because it starts with the people, it starts with us, but corporate America will respond. How about the lack of endorsements? Lack of endorsements for newspapers, traditional, and they're all online now, I get it. And it started with the LA Times, with the owner refused to endorse, make an endorsement. They shouldn't anyway. Refused to make an endorsement, which means they're not endorsing Kamala Harris. So the betting markets are telling them they don't think she's going to win. Started with the LA Times. And maybe once they put in their toe in the water, it inspired Jeff Bezos, yes, Bezos of Amazon, but you may not know he also owns the Washington Post. Well, on Friday, an executive decision came down from Jeff Bezos himself, where they're blocking an endorsement. He's refusing to let his editorial board of the Washington Post, the old standard of propaganda media, Jeff Bezos himself is stopping them from making an endorsement. And now you have all these writers, these propagandists from the Washington Post threatening to quit, and they're all crying, and how can they do this? Because what's our theme? The fear's gone. Because the people started it, and now corporate America is even responding. All they do is respond to the market, what's going to make them money. Maybe, just maybe media is starting to see the opportunity of reporting straight news. Getting rid of the bias. Maybe. Let's be hopeful. But what we do know is this. They're stopping with the endorsements, which tells you they don't think Kamala is going to win. But also, they're hearing what people are saying, you and me and everybody else, because the fear is gone. You afraid of being called a name anymore? I'm not. I could not possibly care less because it means nothing anymore. They're just words. By the way, these editorial boards, why should any media outlet make an endorsement anyway? You're supposed to report straight news. An endorsement. I always thought that was a ridiculous possibility. An endorsement. But there are signs. There are signs. And it's a great, great thing. And again, I'll just wrap up with this. Does it mean the election's going to turn out the way you want to, or me, or anybody else? Maybe not. I have no idea how this is going to turn out. That's the wild card, you know? That's the wild card in how the election's going to turn out, or how it's counted, or how it's portrayed, or how it's reported, actually, by the way. But one thing solid for sure is, like I said, that toothpaste isn't going back in the tube. The fear's gone. People have gotten hold of information now, and we're too far down the road. That's why these tyrants are so scared. That's why they're in a panic. That's why you got people like Michelle Obama on the road for Kamala, browbeating the men in her life and everybody else's life and telling her how to vote a certain way, because they are panicked. Believe me. We'll see. All right, let's wrap it up with this. This is actually my favorite story of the day. This is amazing. It's a little dark. I get it. It's not for everybody. I think it's awesome. And we are in spooky season, so it fits right along. There's a viral video out there now, viral as the kids say. There's a lady in England who posted a video of how her family sent off their dear, beloved grandfather. Sadly, R.I.P., he passed away, but they loved him. And he was a little eccentric, let's put it that way. Her name is Paige Anderson. And she said, well, he used to say he wanted a... Well, she's English, so it's like... He used to say he wanted a Viking burial, which is obviously very illegal now. So the Viking burial is, you light the body on fire and you put him on a log and you send him down the river. Like maybe they put him in the Thames. Well, you can't do that anymore, right? Even though that's awesome. So they found something else. They put his ashes into fireworks and they launched him into the night sky. Huh? I think that's awesome. It actually sounded like this, and there's a lot of oohs and ahs. There he goes. Now that I hear that again, it kind of sounds like something else. But anyway, that's how they did it. Now, she says they looked into a company to do it, but it was very pricey to do. But it tells you it's a possibility. So here's what they did. She says the firework is covered in Vaseline, and then they dipped that into his ashes. And then the ashes were covered on top of the fireworks, and then they launched it into the sky. So Grandpa was launched into the sky. I think that's awesome. Okay, now it tells you it can be done. So now here's the opportunity for fireworks companies. Here's another market. Because when's your big time fireworks companies, right? You got New Year's, you got 4th of July. Well, here's something that could work all day long. Work with funeral homes. You get a hold of the ashes, you pack them into like a bottle rocket or a Roman candle, and you get launched into the sky. I think that's fantastic. I would do that in a heartbeat. I love it. I bet you their grandfather loved it. I'll tell you that much. All right, let's get out of here. Again, the theme, the fear is gone. Don't ever let anybody tell you how to vote or think or act or anything like that. That's our number one takeaway. And the second takeaway is never take any crap from anybody. It all fits along. Have a wicked, awesome Monday. We will regather for Tuesday, which means we will be within a week of the election. Who knows what's going to happen? All I know is the fear's gone. Have a great one. And thanks for finding me. Thanks for putting your notifications on for when we go live every single day, 8 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m.-ish. And the podcast version is out there, too. Thanks for finding that wherever you get your podcast, downloading, rating. That's all been good, too. I appreciate your time. And we'll talk to you tomorrow.